Assalamu alaikum and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. In the name of the Almighty, the Lord of all mankind. First of all, my heartiest welcome to our brothers, our brethren who have come from different parts of the Islamic Ummah at the invitation of the Islamic Jamiat 𝗟𝗏𝗍𝗶 in this International Federation of Student Organizations, Islamic Students Organizations, and it's a great pleasure to warmly welcome you. We are gathered here, excuse me, in Islamabad at a time of turbulence and transformation which has not been seen for a very long time. Different world leaders have spoken about this historic change. China's President Xi Jinping said that there are changes that have not been seen in a century that are being witnessed today. I was last week in Moscow and I was listening to a speech by President Putin, and he said that there are the beginnings of a new world order in which the world's majority, namely the global South, Asia, Africa, Latin America, would be fully represented. Not like the old world order which was dominated by the West. And then we have had the statement of the French president, François Macron, and he said, and I quote, 300 years of Western hegemony is now coming to an end. So let me first give you the big picture, the global world outlook of the major changes in the world. And I would say three are very relevant. First, there is an irreversible shift in the global balance of economic and political power away from the West to the East. The decline of the West, and by West I include the United States of America and Europe, is irreversible. And this was predicted 90 years ago by the great poet philosopher of the East, Dr. 𝗟𝗏𝗻𝗁 when he said, see the sun rising in the east, 𝗜𝗚𝗙𝗦𝗚 He talked of the dawn of the Asian century. And we are seeing the first indications of that. The second important change in global politics is the rise of China as the first non-Western, non-white power to challenge Western hegemony in the last 300 years. And China's rise is also unstoppable. And this also had been predicted, by the way, by Dr. Allama Iqbal when he said, 𝗟𝗏𝗱𝗏 चीनी संभलने लगे, हिमालय के चश्मे उबलने लगे, गया दौर सरमायादारी गया, तमाशा दिखा के मदारी गया. That bubbles of hope and optimism are emerging from the Himalayas, and the great Chinese nation is rising from slumber. And this was 90 years ago, before they were any. So you can see that visionary leaders who look at the world beyond the present, they can foresee this historic change. And the third important aspect is that in this multipolar world, requiring a multilateral response, we are seeing the emergence of major Muslim middle powers who will be dominant in their respective regions in the next 10 years, inshallah. Pakistan, Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, these are the emerging in our region, especially I'm talking of Asia. And the indication of that is very clear. There have been conflicts. India launched aggression against Pakistan. and they got a thrashing from us. We shot down their planes, 7 of them, and we beat back an adversary which is larger in size and stronger in strength in terms of weaponry. So that shows that size does not equal strength. Similarly, Israel launched a war of aggression against Iran and they were repulsed. And also, 𝗜𝗺𝗙 𝗦𝗂𝗇, the war of liberation in occupied Palestine, in which Hamas has been a pivotal player. When it was launched on 7th of October 2023, Netanyahu, who is an arch-watch criminal, he said that his number one objective is that he should eliminate, God forbid, Hamas. But today, you can see by the grace of Almighty, under the American auspices, Israel is negotiating with Hamas in Doha. So that is how the world has been changed. And I would also like to mention here, since you are in Pakistan, your host country, our role in that regard. You might have read in the last 24 hours, or the last few weeks also, some major news items. And I'll just list 3 of them, which shows that Pakistan today is not just playing a role confined to our region of South and Central Asia. Pakistan also has a role in the broader Muslim world, or what is termed as the Middle East. On 17 September, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan have signed a mutual defense security agreement. So Pakistan's role is that also of a net security provider for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, because after the attack on Qatar by Israel, which America did not stop, but to which America acquiesced, there's a loss of faith and confidence of many of the Arab regimes, including the Gulf ones, on their old ally, the United States of America, and they are looking for strategic options. Then, 2 days ago, Pakistan and Libya have signed a major defense deal. And we had an old relationship in the past when Colonel Gaddafi was there. So it's about $4.5 billion worth of deal. And yesterday, Pakistan and Turkey signed an agreement on the Navy upgradation of Pakistan. Turkey and Pakistan. So you can see how cooperation among Muslim countries, bilaterally and otherwise, is emerging. And that's a very key element. And this is not new, because Pakistan has had a historic role in the past also. In 1940, in March, the great leader of Pakistan, the founder of Pakistan, 𝗟𝗲𝗻𝗁, presided over a session of the All India Muslim League in Lahore on 23rd March 1940, where 2 resolutions were passed. One seeking the right of self-determination of the Muslims of South Asia, which led to Pakistan, and the other one on Palestinian self-determination on March 1940. So Pakistan has, before the creation of Pakistan, the people of Pakistan, the Muslims of Pakistan, have had that relationship and rapport with Palestine. That's why I say that Palestine and Kashmir is part of the Pakistani DNA. And soon after our independence, Pakistan was the first country to support liberation movements in the Maghreb. Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria. They were fighting against French imperialism. Pakistan provided diplomatic passports to 𝗵𝗺𝗻𝗺 Abbas, the leader of Algeria. He was the prime minister of the government in exile. To Habib Bourguiba, who was the leader of Tunisia. To Mohammed al-Faraj, who was the leader of Morocco. They used to operate out of Pakistani mission in the United Nations in New York, and also in Karachi they had offices. So we did not have oil, we were a new country, but we had that conviction that we have to support liberation movements. Also in Eritrea at that time. We are the only, Pakistan is the only non-Arab country that has taken part in 2 Arab-Israeli wars. In June 1967, our pilot, Group Captain 𝗟𝗲𝗻𝗺𝗿𝗀, shot down two Israeli planes fighting for the Jordan Air Force and the Iraqi Air Force in 67. In October 1973, in the Ramazan War or the October War, our pilot, Group Captain 𝗟𝗲𝗏𝗍𝗏𝗍𝗏, fighting for the Syrian Air Force and Egyptian Air Force, also shot down two Israeli planes. So we have had this track record. And in 1974, the OIC Special Conference is held in Pakistan, hosted by 𝗜ጵ𝗺𝗁𝗍𝗏𝗍𝗏 and our Prime Minister of that period, Mr. Bhutto. And the PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, under Yasser Arafat, was recognized as the sole legitimate representative of the people of Palestine for the first time in an international conference. 6 months after that, it was done in the Arab League Summit at Rabat in Morocco. And also in the Battle of Beirut, which the Palestinians fought against the fascists of phalangists of Lebanon and Israel. Pakistan, Iran, and Algeria were the three countries which offered troops and military support to the people of Palestine. So this has been a very important part because the leadership of Pakistan, led by the Quaid-e-Azam and Allama Iqbal, had a pan-Islamist vision. Pakistan is not just a territory based on a geographical entity, but it has a vision, a larger vision of the Muslim Ummah. Allama Iqbal had that pan-Islamist vision. So did the Quaid-e-Azam. And that is why, whether it's the Afghan war or also Bosnia, when Bosnia was facing extermination at the hands of the Christians and the Serbs, Croats and Serbs in 1991-92, Pakistan was the first country to provide weapons to Bosnia. I went there in the Christmas of 1993, and I met 𝗟𝗏𝗍𝗏𝗍𝗏, and we were giving them weapons, anti-tank weapons. There was a UN embargo also. We were the first to support them. And we also accepted 4,000 Bosnian refugees in Pakistan. And we had no economic interest, no strategic interest in Bosnia, except Muslim solidarity. And I remember meeting President 𝗟𝗏𝗍𝗏𝗍𝗏 in Sarajevo, and he presented me with a book, his book, translated in English. It's called Islam Between East and West. And what is the dedication? It says, dedicated to the memory of Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, the poet of the East. In communist Yugoslavia, in a Slav country, the Muslims are inspired by the teachings of Allama Iqbal. So this is the impact of ideas. The power of ideas which motivates and moves people. In this regard, I would like to also mention that the coming period is going to be very, very crucial. And I would like to mention three important elements in that. You represent youth leadership, political leadership. The biggest challenge for the Muslim world in terms of ideas and mindset, and there is a gap in my view between the elite and the street, is defeatism, fear of the powerful. Most of the ruling regimes in the Muslim world are based on fear. Fear of their own people, fear of America, fear of Israel, some even fear India. I remember I was interviewing Abu Ammar, Yasser Arafat, as a journalist in 1990 in Tunis. And he told me an incident which sums up the mindset. He said he was in an Arab country, a monarchy. He didn't name it. And he said the Intifada was at its peak. And he said he listened to the news and there was no coverage of the Intifada. No news in the official TV channels. And he said next morning he had breakfast with the king of that country. And he said, please sack your information minister because he is incompetent. There's no news. And he said the king started laughing. He said, oh, this is our policy. He said, why? He said, do you want us to teach our people how to resist the police by throwing stones and fighting against the state oppression? That is the fear. And you can see that in that. So that defeatism. When the struggle for Pakistan was there, a great leader, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, was a lawyer, a barrister. He fought the case for Pakistan without any army, without any atom bomb, without any big money, without the British establishment, without the Congress was also opposed to it, but he fought it with clarity, with conviction, with competence, single-minded determination. So there was no, and he said, the word impossible is found in the dictionary of fools. There's no way. Yes. Within 7 years, it was achieved. And you've had these examples. 70 years ago, this is 2025, in 1955, in Indonesia, in Bandung, there was this conference of Afro-Asian solidarity. And President Sukarno was there. And the first unity between Africa and Asia was forged in Bandung in Indonesia. I remember Indonesia because I lived in Indonesia. My father was Pakistan's first military attaché to Indonesia. So I had my early schooling in Indonesia. And then we also had it in what was then East Pakistan in Dhaka. So we can see that the spirit of solidarity, of camaraderie, of unity among the Ummah at the popular level is very, very strong. So that is the first challenge. The second challenge is the emerging axis, the unholy alliance between two countries, two entities that are expansionist, that are fascist, that are racist, and that are anti-Muslim. India and Israel. India believes in Hindutva ideology. India believes in what is called Akhand Bharat, which means Greater India. They have a map on their parliament, Lok Sabha, of Akhand Bharat, which includes 10 countries: Afghanistan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Tajikistan, parts of China and other regions, Nepal and Maldives, all these, they are part of what is called Greater India. The ideology is Hindutva, a bigoted, divisive, racist and fascist ideology. As the great Indian writer Arundhati Roy, she wrote in the New York Times on 15th of August, that in today's India, RSS is the state, which is the ruling party, and an architecture of fascism is being erected. And who is their ally? Israel, which talks of Eretz Israel, Greater Israel. And God forbid, even they include the holy sites in their map. And these are both expansionist states. They want to increase their borders through use of force. Both failed in 2025, but we should be clear about their machinations and their alliance. And for the future, the key aspect is the core issue for Muslims is Palestine. What happened in Gaza? I salute the martyrs of Palestine. I salute the martyrs of Hamas. And let me make it very clear. Hamas is not a terrorist organization. It is a legitimate political organization which emerged in a free election in 2006 as the democratically elected representative of the people of Palestine in 2006. And President Jimmy Carter was there at that time in the election monitoring. He said this is the freest election in the Middle East. And after that, I was chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in the Pakistan Parliament. I invited Mr. 𝗟𝗡𝗻𝗄𝗎, Foreign Minister of Palestine, from Hamas, to come and address the Pakistan Parliament. And he was welcomed. And we were the first to give them support also, financial, I think $2 or $3 million a year. And then he went to Indonesia and Iran and other countries. So we have had this because it's a legitimate organization. And it was a military regime in Pakistan at that time. But we said, General Musharraf was there, and Mr. Shawkat, and I talked to them. I said, we should support them because they need this kind of support. And now there is talk of a peace plan. But as the English saying goes, you cannot have Hamlet without the Prince of Denmark. You cannot have lasting, durable peace in the Middle East without an independent, sovereign Palestine state with Jerusalem as its capital. And I've been saying that in the Trump plan, which 8 Muslim countries have accepted, there should be a timeline, because this plan is given by Trump, whose term expires in 2028. And it's non-renewable, apparently. So there should be a timeline. The UN mandate is about to end in December 2027. They should speak, we should insist on the establishment of a Palestine state with Jerusalem as the capital. It's not just the 𝗟𝗏𝗍𝗶𝗍, it's under international law. And be very clear, I want to tell the distinguished audience that in today's world, race and religion are important issues in the mindset. And I'll give you 2 examples. When the Ottoman Empire was breaking up in 1920, and they handed out, Syria was given to the French, and Jordan was given to the British, and Iraq also, like this, they made the division. The French general went there, General Guéraud, to Damascus. And the first thing he said, I want to visit the grave of Salahuddin Ayyubi. And when he went to the grave, he kicked the grave. He said, "Oh Salahuddin, we are back." Back meaning 1187 they were defeated. Jerusalem was liberated by Salahuddin Ayyubi. After 733 years, they had not forgotten that thing. It was in their mind. And they came back. In our part of the world, in 1971, when there was this situation where Pakistan was partitioned because of external aggression, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the Prime Minister of India, said, "We have taken revenge after 1,000 years." And I went to India and I talked to the think tank. I said, "What are you talking about, 1,000 years? Pakistan is established in 1947. So are you referring to Muhammad bin Qasim, the Muslim leader?" And the Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, always talks of 1,000 years of slavery. So, he's referring to the Muslim group. So these are things which are etched in the consciousness. And if there's no Palestine state, then get ready for another round between Zionism and Pan-Islamism. Because the issue of Palestine is paramount. It's close to the hearts, and you can see the impact. It is now the biggest change in global politics on Palestine, ladies and gentlemen, has been in 2025, that Western public opinion has changed and shifted against Israel for the first time. And that example is Zohran Mamdani, the new mayor of New York. He is now elected, and 30% of the Jews of New York voted for him. And out of 193 members of the United Nations General Assembly, 153 have recognized Palestine. And you have had the biggest demonstrations in support of Palestine in New York, in Washington, in London, in Paris, in Madrid, in Frankfurt, even in Sydney, different parts of the world, and people are speaking up. So I think we have to seize this moment and take a clear position. And that issue is linked with the issue of occupied Kashmir. Because there are similar issues, twin issues, left over from history, foreign military occupation, United Nations resolutions in the case of occupied Kashmir not implemented, in the case of occupied Palestine not implemented. They were implemented in the case of South Sudan. They are implemented in the case of East Timor, but not here. And this issues demand that we accept under international law that a people living under foreign military occupation, they have a right of armed struggle against foreign military occupation. That right is guaranteed to the people of Palestine and the people of Kashmir or any other people living under foreign military occupation under international law. So I would say the glass is half full. We are moving forward. The spirit in the Muslim Ummah among the people is very strong. And also the global public opinion has changed. The tide has turned. And even Trump's election would not be possible without the Muslim vote, especially in the states of Michigan and others, where he promised something on Palestine, and that made a difference. So we should seize that moment, and in the current epoch, ideas and dialogue are going to be very key. We have to have this exchange of views, which we are having in Islamabad under the auspices of the Islamic Jamiat Talaba, and be very clear that the most powerful force in the movement of global history and events is ideas. Ideas whose time has come and ideas which are unstoppable. Long live the Muslim Ummah. Long live the struggle of the people of Palestine and Kashmir. Thank you very much.